Maybe that would help.
Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian.
This podcast is created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither are our D&D games.
Yeah, not at all, yeah. They're bad.
Good job. That's 2
Actually,
weeks in a row.
hold on. Have we...
Have we
No,
what?
I guess we really did. The last D&D session we had also wasn't really that bad
No.
in terms of, like, profanity or anything.
This time.
Yeah, this time,
What are
admittedly.
you talking about? You guys made a deal with the devil. That's pretty bad.
I mean,
Okay, so we
Yeah.
made a deal with Vladimir Harkonnen.
okay, but admittedly, we didn't have very many choices at the moment.
No.
Isn't that what every person that makes a deal with the devil
Oh
says?
yeah, probably.
And the dude actually was kind of cooperative, so...
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Everything pointed to where it was okay in this particular situation.
That's funny.
Yeah.
As if a deal with the devil can ever be okay. But we'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
We'll see. We don't know the actual deal. We only got to skim it.
I'm really excited for today's episode today. We're going to be talking Challenge Accepted. In the past, we've covered Skill Challenge. We've talked about the products we've released. We just released Challenge Accepted 2. The one thing we don't do very often is we don't actually cover our own content, and I like to give some of it away for free just so you guys got something to bring with you on your next adventure. So we'll be covering our most recent content, Challenge Accepted 2. But if you decide to pick it up, it is standalone, so you don't necessarily need the first one to get any value out of this one.
Yeah, it is. As I was looking through it, it pretty much is. It's like almost like DLC. You just get more.
Oh, Crit Academy bringing you DLC and fat loots. Loot crates are next.
Yeah, loot crates are next. We're gonna start setting out hats and T-shirts and action figures of ours. We have like a little table.
Like squeeze them and they go.
Credit Academy, but the toy.
Oh, dude, that would be total.
That'd be fun,
I
but
bet I can do that with a 3D printer. Do you got any modeling skills?
No.
Oh, never mind that.
neither do I. It's not
But
something
anyways,
I
I'm
have.
really excited to cover that. I have an awesome encounter today to talk
Okay.
about. I'm really excited for it. So stay tuned for our
Cool.
Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to support us, head on over to critacademy.com. Check out our Patreon page. I didn't realize how much stuff we give away on our as part of our Patreon.
Yeah, we give away quite a bit.
I just had to put together like a professional ad. I've been learning all this marketing stuff, and we had to write out all the stuff that we do. And right now, if you become like a silver patron, you get, I think, seven customized maps. You get 79 different monsters. And of course, I'm making
counting.
Yeah,
And
this
counting,
stuff.
yeah.
The stuff we're making every week. There's also like 10 one-page adventures that are available to the lower tier, and more than that for the higher tiers. So it's been pretty exciting. So consider becoming a subscriber. The value is certainly worth it. Once I
Yeah.
started putting it all together, I was like, damn.
Yeah, we give away quite a bit here.
So
We should charge more for this.
yeah, right. If you find that interesting, consider becoming a patron or subscribe to our newsletter and be entered to win fat loots that we give away every single week on the show. So thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your roles are like a D&D adventure without a challenge. Which, if there's no challenge in the adventure, is it really an adventure by that point?
Then why are you here?
Yeah,
That is a genuine question. Is it really an adventure without the challenge?
I think it can be, but I think the challenges is what makes games in general enjoyable. Nobody likes to go through a game with no on easy mode. I don't like where nothing's challenging. I think. I mean, I guess I can't speak for everyone.
I mean, I have played with some ultra casual groups that are just there to hang out more than anything else too.
Yeah.
So
I guess there is also the lore aspect, maybe, right? Like maybe
Yeah,
you
I
play it just to
suppose.
essentially have like an interactive story.
Matt makes a good point. Depends on how you do the easy part of the adventure. And let's be real here, some
that's
players
fair.
have made lots of things way more difficult than they have to.
Yeah, that you guys do.
That makes sense.
Players do that. So
Yeah,
anyways,
I've definitely
Yeah.
done that.
I mean,
plenty of
there's been
times.
memes going around of like a DM searching for puzzles for children.
Yes, I've seen that meme format, and I look at it and I'm like,
I'm offended by this. It's true.
but it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like, all you have to do is put these shapes in the same shapes in the wall. No, I think it's a trap. Are you sure? Are you
been 10
positively sure?
10 hours, 3 sessions deliberating.
Okay. Watch the barbarian jumping down from the hole.
Love it.
Pull your pants back up, douche. For our Let's Talk About Blank segment, we actually have a question submitted by the Beverage Tea. Austin, would you like to read off what he has submitted to us?
Sure. Crit Academy, my group is totally struggling to work as a team. We have no tactics whatsoever. That's rough. Some of it is being new to the game. Some of it, I'm looking at you, Monk, is just trying to showboat for each other. And some of it that we just don't know tactics. For example, we never scout out areas first. We never agree on a plan of attack. We never have contingency plans if it all goes to shit. And we need to retreat. It's all Leroy Jenkins, and it's all the same. Could you go over a few scenarios with a typical party of a fighter, cleric, rogue, caster for how to clear out a dungeon room by room, how to deal with a swarm on an open field, how to break through a horde with your backs to a cliff?
So
Interesting.
I
have
really
lots-
like this question.
And I have so many trains of thoughts.
Okay.
I do too. Like, there's definitely a few ways we can really go about this, I think, for sure.
Well, let's first break down the big elephant in the room. No tactics whatsoever, and you're getting away with that and just charging in Leroy Jenkins style. It sounds like your DM's probably going a little
too
easy
lenient
on you.
Yeah.
Because, for instance...
The
or
irony of how that's tied to everything that we're talking about today. But
yes.
Or the DM's not building around it.
That's also true. Because and we've talked before about...
Because not all group are heavy tactics.
yeah.
no, for sure.
But they can't be the same strategy every time. For instance, when you guys were in Baldur's Gate, if you would have tried this shit going into that house with
We would have died.
you would have
Oh,
died.
yeah,
no
no
doubt.
way.
And I
No
was
fucking
very
way.
clear that there's
Guards.
hundreds of guards.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, in character, he would want to blow up and try and just be as animalistic as possible, but he knows that if he does that, everyone in this room is dead.
Okay. like when we went south and the lady called in her guards and suddenly 30 guns in plate mail.
Yeah. You
Oh!
you look at that and you're like, no, I may be a hero, but I'm not a god.
Right. Well,
Like-
not yet.
Yeah, that will probably change down
So
the road still, but
I think some of this stems from that being allowed.
Yeah.
Now,
correct.
moving on to the rest of his question is can we run a few scenarios? And you said you both kind of had some strings of thoughts. Do you want to go first, Ian?
Well, not necessarily scenarios in mind. One way you get around this is like have the DM introduce a drill sergeant character, if you will, like another NPC who joins up with the party for a little bit, and even Paul says, "What are you idiots doing? Why aren't you doing this, or this? Are you trying to get yourselves killed?"
Right,
Okay, I can
right.
see that. What about you, Austin?
So,
That's
this-
one solution.
No, for
Right.
sure, yeah. So to clear out the whole room by room thing, right? I think ideally you would want your rogue to kind of just solo out first, just to kind of be like, hey, so I came back, I'm not dead. That's a plus. I didn't check for traps. Don't know how that didn't go bad.
Or maybe you did.
Or maybe no. I know I wouldn't.
Well,
have.
either way though.
Yeah,
I,
the idea is that there is some form of thought that you guys know, and the rogue can relay, of course, that any of that information, which obviously your players have already heard.
and
but
that could come in good handy because if the rogue scouts and the DM then hopefully feeds you some information, hey, you spot 2 orcs, one with a great axe and another one with a mage staff.
Yeah.
Now the party has an idea what to expect and can now say, well, the fighter can be like, well, I can take out the orc with the great sword and draw its attention while you
or like hold it down, even,
yeah,
like,
or
grapple it.
while you, Mr. Rogue, swoop in and take out the caster because that'll likely be our greatest threat.
Yeah,
you
that'll
know?
likely be the one to shoot us down.
Hey, range guys, stand in the back.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
that,
that's a big one too.
well, and you can go even beyond that. Knowing that information, knowing you got a caster in the group, could the wizard, I'm gonna say it's a wizard in this instance. Okay, well I know there's a caster. I'm gonna ready a counter spell in case he goes first.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Although counter spells are reaction, so
Oh yeah, I guess it is.
but I'm gonna be ready to use counter spell, or maybe I could specifically say, hey, I'm planning on counter spelling. And I think as a DM, I always open up with the biggest attack that like a spell in this case. Let's say it's fireball, and if they counterspell, I would make a big deal about that because they just planned it out. So that fireball loose from his hands, it streaks across the air, and then the wizard jumps out front and creates a big orb of water, and it absorbs the fireball and then sucks it into, blows it up into steam. Because they took time to kind of prepare, you want to kind of reward that preparedness.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
although I suppose you could ready dispel magic.
You could.
Ooh,
That's a good one.
that'd be good, especially if they got any wards or anything up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if the rogue potentially missed anything.
Yeah.
He also mentions having a cleric. I think it depends on the type of cleric. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because-
that is pretty heavily dependent. Yeah.
Because I think you can make a very strong argument that the clerics are potentially most varied class because there's so many ways you can build them. Like
Yeah.
I've seen melee clerics in this legitimate playstyle. I've seen buff clerics, debuff clerics, healing clerics,
So
clerics that just use attack magic all the time and it works just fine.
for this situation, let's say it's a light cleric.
Yeah.
We know the light cleric specializes in what? Blinding enemies so they get disadvantage on attacks. So maybe that cleric runs in with the fighter alongside him and tries to blind the thing he's fighting.
Yeah, giving the fighter a very heavy advantage against. Not necessarily that he has advantage, but he has a heavier advantage against that thing that he's fighting.
Right.
Although I'm not gonna lie, my late domain cleric specialized in wearing full plate and casting fireball.
And you know what? That's okay.
Yes,
And it works.
it works great.
He walks in prepared to get lit up.
No, interestingly enough, the how to deal with a swarm in an open field. So
yeah. That
Yeah.
that's tough for one.
everyone hide behind the fighter.
Area attacks. That's definitely what the caster would do. Position the cleric. Fighter definitely in the front, taking the hits.
if it's really that dire, like I mean,
Run away!
there's always I mean I'm assuming
that's
in this
a good
case
idea.
and I'm assuming in this case I'm assuming in this case they're surrounded. So the whole like I have to like fight my way through might be having to beat a thing, but I also want to just say like if you have a caster, chances are they probably have like Dimension Door or something, something to get you guys the fuck out.
Another option if you're fighting a swarm. Let's assume it's like a swarm of birds or something. You readied actions can make all the difference.
Yep.
If you ready an action until the swarm gets within range, and the whole party does that, it's very possible you'll kill the swarm before it even becomes a problem.
Right.
I think a lot of these issues can be mitigated with one simple thing. Talk with each other. Ask what can your character do? How can my abilities complement your abilities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because he says they're mostly new, that's probably something they just haven't developed yet or
Right.
got comfortable with.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say about the open field, do whatever you can to make it not open. There's abilities like Shape Earth that could give you cover. And illusions, like Minor Illusion can give the illusion of a wall. Creatures don't know most of the time. They're not going to try to fly face first into a wall, even if it's illusionary. So you can utilize that as a way to kind of give yourself cover in a way, or create a small cave or something like that. So you can at least funnel them in to where you're at.
Or create some difficult terrain, and he says you could control the battlefield to funnel them in a certain direction.
Well,
Right.
in my mind, a swarm is flying, but I guess
Right.
that's not necessarily true. A swarm of rats doesn't fly, so
No.
good point.
Yeah.
I envision swarm as like bees or birds or something,
Yep.
but
I guess this also kind of segues right into the how to break through a horde with your backs to a cliff.
Yep.
If your backs are to a cliff,
how did you get there to begin with?
tie a rope. I'm jumping.
You know what? That's actually pretty.
Says grappling hook guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
actually a
mean,
pretty good idea.
I'm just gonna get the fuck out. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So there was
Or like hide, if because like you have rations, right? So I
Yep.
mean you can definitely live.
wait out stuff.
Yeah, a few days, and they will get bored or hungry or leave. Or,
It depends how prepared the enemy is for a siege, though.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. Well, if there's only gonna
But
be
I think
4
that's a good
dudes, I want to
idea.
assume they're not gonna be there for 4 guys for very long.
Well, it says,
Why?
well, it depends on what the guys are. I mean, in this case,
Yeah.
adventurers, they probably have a value.
Yep.
But I definitely see the value in that.
Yep. And I suppose something that might be good too, though, is like don't get mad at players for playing their characters as designed. Like,
That's true.
Like for
Big
example,
stupid
like,
barbarian's gonna charge in.
well, that and like I like play with a group where like the players like, man, he's not being a team player. He's always far away from the group. He's not moving with us as a unit. I'm like, I'm a archer ranger. That's my thing.
Yeah, that's
Kind
kind
of how I
of
roll.
yeah. That's your job is to kind of sit in the back and provide that cover fire.
It's like, why are you surprised by this?
So, what I do think about this. So we've talked about avoiding it, right? Just going off the cliff. You
Yeah.
could even lure them off the cliff with you. Grapple some and
interesting.
take them with you. I think this is actually a very difficult situation to get out of in general, especially if you define horde like I do, which is more NPCs
Yeah.
than you can deal with.
Now the other thing is that the issue is that when you're in this kind of backs to the cliff, you're surrounded by numerous enemies. The only issue is that you have a fighter and a rogue. They're not really designed to fight these like group tactics. You know what I mean? Fighter maybe if they had like some form of like cleaving effect on them. So if they taken like some
Yeah.
feats in, but like rogue doesn't have a lot to work with. Cleric is still a big maybe, and your caster is. Hope you got spell slots because you're going to be using a lot of them. Like that's the reality of it. There's really no way around it.
What I can think of is if your cleric's willing to do whatever is necessary to protect you guys while you flee, go down in a blaze of glory, maybe. Because this really is a hard thing. Unless they're weaker enemies, then maybe
Right.
you can get a wizard with fireball to create an opening. But
That's what I was thinking.
there
too.
are spells and stuff that can help with this, like tsunami. Probably you can push a tsunami and create a path, or have a dragonborn or some sort of breath attack that release, like lightning bolt maybe too, that releases in a straight line and try to use that, but you're gonna still be running right through those bastards. So that's definitely a hard situation. I would say in a situation like that, I wouldn't try to break through the group.
Ooh, actually,
Spike growth would probably be a good one.
I actually just thought of something, and that really it still kind of depends on your DM too. Don't get me wrong, but if you like, because it also depends where you're at.
Yeah.
Of course. But I'm assuming if this cliff is like, if you have any sort of like grass or trees or anything, just start a fire.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
start a fire and just fight and like hope that the smoke will eventually envelop everything, and that'll give you enough time to maybe like slip past everybody.
Yeah, or the fog spell.
Yeah.
That would,
Fog
I
spell,
think
that
you're-
would be a good one.
If
Yeah.
if they did that as a plan and a tactic, I would honestly probably use the mechanics of the fog spell.
Well, and here's the
allow
thing
them to
too,
do
right?
that.
Because if there's like an army, like a legitimate, sizable troop who is actively trying to find you, so like we're talking dozens of people, it's gonna be really hard to find 4 people in those dozens of people
That's
when
true.
they're all looking around searching for these people.
So that actually brings up another question. Deception illusion, like you guys did in the Descent into Avernus.
Oh,
Stuff like alter self or disguise kits.
that actually even brings up another thing on top of that after you're
that?
done. Is that what if they took like a couple of the guards down? Say it's like a bunch of guards from like the rogue pilfered something he really shouldn't have.
Yeah, now the guards are all chasing
Now
you
they're
down.
all guards, right? Well, if you just take a couple of their uniforms, how on earth are they going to recognize you?
That's true.
That's another thing.
That's an advanced planning thing, right?
Yeah, that is a tactic.
Yeah. And I mean, for that matter, what the cliff thing made me think of was, even though it's not one of the classes that's specified, and to be fair, up front, this is how I designed this character, but it made me think of when we did like that one battle royale with that other group.
Oh yeah. Can you go into more detail?
Yeah, can you expand a little bit more? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I ran the barbarian, you ran the spellcaster, and you ran the rogue.
Oh!
Yeah.
And how? Okay, but how does this apply to the situation? I'm confused.
Well, the fact that they're on the edge of a cliff, like as you recall, in the ring we're fighting in, Hell of drop-offs too.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And there was one point where, like, one of the other players that we were playing against, he's like, "Come on, hit me! I'm a 19 defense." And I'm like, "Yeah, my barbarian mocks your defense and raging grapples you with advantage,"
That's true. I do remember that.
and then threw him off the cliff.
So I think those are some pretty good details. The beverage tea. I hope that helps. We do have a question from the Bozette in
Okay.
chat that says, so most campaigns I've played have start at level 1 rather than 3, which is generally actually You're supposed to start at level 1, not level 3. Just everyone decided to start at level 3.
Because they want, archetypes.
I'm currently playing a level 3 Beastmaster Shifter, and a level 2 Leonin Fighter, planning on Samurai archetype. Do you have any tips? So the Beastmaster is not made for DPS. And it is utility.
Yeah.
A lot of utility.
And a lot of people fail to understand that. Let's be real here.
Let's be honest. So, as a Beastmaster, we actually have an episode where I talked all about the quite the long rant of the merits of the Beastmaster. So I don't want to go into that right here, but I will say that using spells like Barkskin to buff your companion, giving yourself dual wielding, and with a wolf that has, can grant that advantage.
That's a big part of it. Is granting yourself advantage.
Using your pet to
use the assist action.
Yes, use the help action to aid your allies, because you can, if you're a ranger, you can hide in a corner and have him just take the help action, making the rogue have a significantly higher chance of triggering their sneak attack, or the barbarian with his,
or savage criticals, or like improved criticals.
Yep.
Yeah. As for the samurai, sorry, was there more for you?
The last thing I want to talk about the Beastmaster. Whatever you do, remember the utility spells that you get, like Barkskin.
Yep.
And what's the gives you endurance and shit. It grants a bunch of different buffs depending on like the style. One's the bear and you gain temporary hit points.
Like improvability or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
all those
something like
can
that.
be applied to your pet. So definitely try to remember those things. It's so easy to forget that.
Enhanceability.
Yep. And that's something that people forget. I think does mage armor apply? I think mage armor would apply too. To a pet.
Well, I thought Mage Armor was cast on self.
I thought Mage Armor was cast self too.
It's not. Cast on touch. As far as the Leonin Samurai archetype, I have not personally played the Samurai.
I have.
Okay, so why don't you take the lead on that?
So the Samurai, I think Rangers don't get Mage Armor. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, they don't, but your allies might have it, is what I'm saying.
So as for the Samurai, you would think that your fighting spirit, which is your main class ability, or subclass ability, I guess I should say, which grants you, I believe it gives you advantage on your next attack, or maybe it's for you.
Does that consume your bonus?
It does consume your bonus, and it does give you temporary HP as well. You would think you would want to use that defensively, but pretty much you just want to just go straight to the high priority target and just get rid of them, as far as I'm aware. I mean, because of your insane survivability from all the temporary HP you get, and just being able to have these improved chances to get... One, you're probably more likely to get crits anyway because you're getting advantage on all of your stuff.
That's true.
And you're already just... like, you can dish out very consistent damage, and you hold yourself very well in terms of, like, what you're fighting against. It's just... Is it just on the first strike, or is it on your... Oh, all weapon attack rolls. So, yeah, it's just very powerful.
So, to me, that tells me that I would want to be a dual wielder.
Well, you can't, because
you can't.
use a bonus
It
action
takes your bonus
to trigger
action.
the fighting spirit.
Oh, well, that
you don't want to be
definitely
a dual
sucks.
wielder.
Yeah, right.
You want to be a two-hander.
I got you.
And it's only till the end of your turn. And
It is to the end of your turn, but you keep the temporary hit points.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
That's huge.
It's a very
Advantage
solid
on
ability.
all weapon attacks.
like, I remember when I took Great Weapon Fighting as a feat, and I combined it with Fighting Spirit.
That's probably a good combination.
And I'm like, yeah, I get -5 to all my attacks, but I'm hitting them with advantage, so
Exactly.
I
So
don't
that's
give
a straight 10 damage bonus, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's almost the full damage of a normal weapon strike at max damage, which is like, I think that has
Exactly,
D12,
yeah.
right? Wow.
Yep.
You could also take the
addition.
Savage... Is Savage critical a feat?
That
Is that actual feat, or is that
That's a
just...
barbarian.
That's a bar. No,
Is it-
that's the Savage Critical is the race. Isn't that a racial for the Savage
I
Attack?
know-
Is a racial for the half orc.
It is
the-
for
the-
half-orcs, too.
Savage Attack is the class ability for the Barbarian. No, wait, no, I think Reckless.
I'm
I'm
thinking
thinking
Reckless. Savage Attack, I think, is
The whole point is that you would
half-orc.
get the stronger crit damage, but
There's
if you-
options.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the Leonin's race traits.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
I have the
unfortunately.
book.
They're
I went
buffed to
through it,
Baxi.
but-
Yeah,
They're
they're
buff
just a buff
Tabaxi.
That's
Tabaxi.
pretty-
What was wrong with Tabaxi already? He's already buffed.
Well, no,
No,
they're,
as in like
they're
literally.
they're dex based, not whereas the Loing are more strength based.
Ah, gotcha. So,
Um,
all right.
They're like lions.
That's the
instead of
short version of
cats.
that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's in my Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, I think.
No, it's in the Greek one.
It's
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
oh, it is. It is
clearly
in the newest one, or not the
See, 'cause
newest
we
anymore.
own
I
it or
guess.
in that one. Anyways,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank. That was way longer than I wanted it to
Okay.
be.
I do want to have mention one more thing. I did mention you could also potentially to show correct tactics to put in a drill sergeant, but you also could, as NPCs, throw in an allied party that are more veterans. They're doing their own thing in the background,
And then kind of show them using tactics.
Yep.
Lead by example. Okay, I can see that.
I can agree with that.
All right, that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. Before we move on to our main topic, we have a gift to give away. Compliments of Loresmith.
Yeah, thank you, Loresmith, as always. We have the Arcania modular dungeon tiles. Now, the modular dungeon tiles are an easy way to create your own beautiful digital maps. The Arcania set in specific lets you make dark, shadowy dungeon maps rich with the fumes of arcane secrets. On one hand, you're probably going to find a horde and you don't want to find that horde.
Right.
On the other hand, you might find the adventurers who were thinking about that horde, but then they realize that's a terrible idea.
or you were expecting a horde, but the horde ends up being a race of creatures that end up being way bigger than what you thought it was gonna be.
It's like some super aliens.
Actually, I was thinking about one time, like, I'm gonna ambush this group of kobolds. Oh crap, they're lizardmen. Those are way bigger.
I love that. Who's our winner today, Ian?
Our winner today is Justin Jennings.
Woo! Congratulations. You're the man.
You did it.
If you enjoy the product, please let Loresmith know. Maybe check out some of his other fat loots. Got all kinds of good stuff. If you didn't win, have no fear. Crit Academy's here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Loresmith and get a free set of digital terrain and so much more. We've got it all. Woot, woot.
We try to have it all anyway.
So, our main topic today.
Challenge
accepted. So, if you've already picked up our first one, don't worry about it. What we're going to be talking about is some of the new stuff, and we wanted to give you something to really take home with you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share the link to our show notes that has some of the stuff we're discussing today in it. You can find it over at critacademy.com/post/episode 189. So D&D is a game that consists of multiple pillars of play. You got combat, you got role play, you got exploration. Challenge Accepted is an adaptation of that's designed to help enhance those various challenges in a controlled and structured format called skill challenges. Now, we've talked about skill challenges before. For those of you who don't know, in many scenarios, our heroes will find themselves in encounters and social situations that revolve entirely around their skills and not their combat
not
capabilities.
how buff they are.
Right. Which some people build their characters entirely around these sorts of concepts. So these really allow for great opportunities for those characters to shine, whether it's lore based or exploration based.
It really kind of makes those like passive skills that like the bard and the rogue get, like expertise or jack of all trades, stuff like that. Really kind of emphasizes that they can really do a lot more.
And some of the feats too, like there's a feat that lets you have multiple languages. I think stuff like that. This skill challenges are designed to kind of add a level of complexity to those sorts of situations, but also add and allow them the opportunity to include strategy and even enhance combat encounters in some situations. Now, our supplements both contain pre-designed skill challenges that you can fit basically into any campaign. They're not by any stretch of the imagination limited to a specific setting. Some of the stuff make mentions of those things. Like they're obviously designed for fantasy, but you can reflavor some of the stuff and change it. Like there
was one that was in like a throne room, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so maybe it becomes a command center on a spaceship.
I was just going to say that too. Yeah, it's just think of like you're at a command center or like at a cockpit and you're just seeing them veer off into... You need to see them.
So we kind of talked a little bit about what the product contains, but and we talked a little bit about what skill challenges are. The one thing that's important to remember, while this gives you a walking guide of how to do this, it's important to remember that skills are malleable, especially in 5th edition more than anything. In the handbook, I think it does tell the DM that, hey, if they use a skill that makes sense, allow them to use that skill instead. Like, for instance, I think the example they use is charisma is intimidation's and charisma check.
Yep.
But you can easily smash a desk, and now it's a
Now
strength,
it's a strength check, yeah.
Yep.
So
If you can just rip a door off its hinges, I'm pretty sure that's scary too.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, like a barbarian may have taken the charisma as dump stat, but are you going to really argue the beefcake?
I mean,
Beefcake.
yeah. Think about it. This man can just lift a table off the ground and throw it through a wall. I'm gonna probably be a little scared of this guy.
Right? So it is important that if a player does offer a reasonable explanation of how a skill, spell, or other feature they have would be used in an area that's not listed, it doesn't mean they can't do it. We just can't list every single possible combination
there's-
of solutions.
Yeah.
We give some recommendations. Here's what you can expect, and you can go off that. Now, once again, even when I run these, the players always come up with weird-ass shit, like climbing up the side of a sticky-ass, essentially giant hell beehive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that worked
Didn't see
out
that
as-
coming at all. So that
I
kinda
didn't either.
jacked
I
up
just
my
didn't want to go
thing.
inside the damn thing. I
That's a
was
good
like,
thing,
I
too.
want to get out of there, not in there.
Of course, as a legacy characters, you didn't expect us to walk directly into the ship either, in plain sight.
No, I didn't.
No, but that was probably our boldest play we have ever done by far. That was so stupid of us,
It
but
worked.
I can't believe it fucking worked.
All right, so skill challenges.
not believe that.
In each challenge, the goal is to, for the group as a whole, to gain a certain number of successes that are needed before a certain number of failures. Now, to make it easy, all the failures are value is 3, but as a DM, you can change it and make it bigger. And it can take place over days, weeks, months. As a DM, you can make those decisions and just keep track of it. That's important to remember because I want you to know how flexible these encounters and tools are. That's really important.
For sure.
While we give you an outline, basically, and everything you need to succeed, it's more than that. You can make it your own. You can make it your table's own. Now, what we do, once we set up the encounter, there are 3 outcomes. You have total success when the players roll and get all the successes they need without a single failure. It means they nailed it perfectly. When they're, creeping through an entire, noble's house and successfully make that save as they're falling off of slip off of an edge, or they're creaking or stepping around to avoid guards and watching for them, and they don't fail at all. Total success comes with almost no detriment.
Yeah, there's really no penalty to a total success because you really want to reward those roles, honestly. It's
Right.
not just the players, just the roles that you all achieved.
Right. The next one is a success. You succeeded, but something else happened. So usually there's some sort of
Probably a favor if in most social situations it's
Maybe.
usually something not it's not
That's
usually
actually-
something bad.
in the sample one that's in the book. That's actually what happens. Total success. The noble agrees with you and offers you the Templars and with no cost. But if you succeed, it requires you to do her a favor.
Yeah.
Now, if you fail, you're in some deep shit. She doesn't want to help you, and you're on your own, which makes the challenge more difficult in some way. The
Yeah.
next encounter is more difficult in some way, shape, or form.
Like, I remember, like, one example, too, is, like, in one of the ones I picked out, like, the general setting of it was the players were trying to escape town, but the city was on high alert to look for said players, and the gates were locked down. And total success is the players managed to lay low. They might necessarily get out of town, but the town might think that they got away, and therefore they're not high alert anymore.
Yep.
Or B, the players that they capture, this is the partial success, but they're still suspected to be in town, so they still need to lay low, or total failure, they're caught.
Yep. And in that situation, those 3 outcomes make sense.
No, they do, for sure.
So, and actually, do we want to talk about that one in a little more detail? Is that the one you picked?
Yeah.
So why don't we? Because I've only got the one in here. I don't know if
Right.
you pasted the other ones in here. You didn't. So why don't we open up our book here?
Which one is that one? That
Which
one's
one
the,
was it?
I'm
I
trying to remember
forget
what
which
it's
one. It's called
Going Underground,
Going Underground.
page 20.
Yeah, the one that I chose was the King's Vizier.
All right,
That one was
we'll
really
do-
interesting
we'll
to me.
We'll talk about both of those. So in this one, Ian, do you want to take the lead about what this is? First of all, what do you guys think about the art? This is the first one I didn't do the layout. Alan Tucker did the layout, so thank you for that.
Interesting. I didn't know
I
that.
think it was Alan
right.
Tucker. I probably should double check that.
All right, the pitch is, your pursuers filled the city. Escaping is going to be no easy task.
Yes.
What do you do? Who do you trust? Is escape even possible? Primary exit points are on lockdown, and sentries fill every alley and street.
Ooh. So that's the flavor text, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, and even like in the setup, they did say like there's a couple of reasons why this might be happening. Like the characters may have run afoul of a noble or a merchant house in a major city. They could have pissed off an assassin's guild, guards, or some other group in authority. And while the characters are tough, they can't take on the full force of the group that they're against.
Well,
Hence
we were
why they
just
try
talking
to-
about
yeah.
too. I like how that
Literally
fits
just,
in.
referring to.
And so like the case may be locked down whilst under watch, so they need to lay low until it all blows over.
So this is really cool because it gives you a collection of reasons this might be happening. That's important because that means it's not just you're not just stuck in the one thing, but you can utilize this same strategy across multiple encounters or cities or however you wanna handle it.
For sure.
And during this challenge, each player makes like 1 check per hour, and this can trigger a lot of things like here's an area with locals, them moving through the city, going through allies, setting up false trails, trying to stay one step ahead, so on and so forth.
So lots of good options of why. So I mentioned earlier about malleable time frames. In this case, I chose an hour, but it easily could be something that they're on high alert for days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So now you're consuming like ration resources, and they got to look for help and stuff. So you can extend
like
that as long
places
as
to
you want.
stay or
Yeah. Likewise, you can shorten it if you really wanted. I mean, for something like this, I probably wouldn't, but you really could.
You
Yeah.
could, yeah.
You could.
I like how it says before running this challenge, create a couple of hard combat encounters. This represents the enemy closing in during failed checks. I do like that.
Oh yeah.
I like the little like, hey, so they should be in pain before they get here, because it'd be really weird otherwise.
Right. What else you got, Ian?
All right. And there's a lot of like skill checks that players can use to go through this, and there are occasionally some other factors that can influence it. Like first off, players can the primary skills you'll be using are acrobatics, athletics, deception, intimidation, persuasion, or stealth. Or in some cases, maybe other skills that players might be able to argue or leverage some
Right, and
cases.
that, once again, we addressed that in the beginning. These are
could-
just what's likely to come
I was
up.
gonna say the first thing that I kind of thought of was I could imagine survival as like setting like a trap, like a quick way to kind of like throw some stuff down in the way.
That's really awesome.
Is that one that's on there? I didn't know.
It's not,
No.
but if, anybody would have helped me read it, it probably could have been, because that's really awesome, and I didn't think about it.
No, but again, that's just one of those things. Like you don't. And survival is such an underused skill anyway. No one ever
Yes.
thinks about it, and that's
Yes.
okay.
Because most people probably use perception half the time instead anyway. So
I actively tried to use every single skill when I designed
It's
these.
hard.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of skills that it's just like they're so niche. that
So-
they don't wanna,
and different skills on top of that have varying DCs depending on which one you choose for
Right.
one reason or another.
So this one requires 8 successes before 3 failures. So we don't have to go through all these. So why don't we each just pick one of the skills that it provides and what it talks about? Ian, do you want to go first?
Like, one I'm going to pick out first is Persuasion, which has a moderate DC. Now, the reason why I picked this one out is because the flavor for this one is the characters convince a local citizen to hide the party and feign ignorance of the character's passage, offer directions to a safe location, or help some other way. Now, the reason why I picked this as the next sentence is a character with a folk hero or similar background automatically succeeds on this check.
that is awesome.
You know what that means? It includes an aspect of their character at creation, and it rewards it.
That is so cool.
I know. I'm
That is
awesome.
that's a real nice touch. I really like that. That's something
choice.
smart. Because like folk hero isn't one that's chosen very often.
Right, and it's for this specific sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, Now, that doesn't mean you can keep using this one over and over again and now you succeed 8 times, but...
Yeah, so on the previous book, I actually said I had limiters
Yeah.
on some of the stuff. I
very
decided that
reason.
so like a DM can make that decision.
Yeah.
I
For
mean,
sure.
Come on, you don't need me to tell you that. Well, I'm just gonna keep hiding in this person's house. Well, they're gonna be checking on the houses all the time.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Thud,
you
thud,
go-
thud. Who's in there, assholes?
I was gonna say, do you really want to rely on a civilian to try and talk out the guards? Because I'm gonna tell you what, I'd rather my buddy
Eventually,
the
that
rogue.
role's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, what about you? That was a good choice, by the way.
Yep.
I actually want to talk about the stealth one because I actually do agree that it should be very hard to stealth from an entire group of like
Yes.
city guards to get after you. So it says it's a very hard DC. The character creates a distraction or leads the party past pursuing patrols or through an open area without attracting attention. What's interesting is a success grants you 2 successes.
Because
It's
it's
also worth-
very hard.
Yep, it does say very hard DC.
It does say very hard DC, but
What happens on a failure?
the failure is a little rough. Because I imagine a lot of people are going to think this and me, like, oh, why don't
Oh,
you
yeah,
stealth get past the
absolutely.
guards? Yeah. Failure is the characters are spotted and quickly surrounded and are forced into a hard combat encounter.
Which goes back to the,
whole
setup that said
that says, hey,
make a hard encounter.
make it hard.
So this is actually a really good one because really in normal situations this is the default go-to.
Yes.
But you pointed out in a city searching for you,
There's no way you're going to hide from all of them.
you need
That's
you need
so
other
hard.
tools in your tool belt
Yeah,
besides the traditional
exactly.
stealth. At least
Now,
that's
your
what was going through
rogue
my
might be able to do it because your rogue is kind of probably used to
That's
this.
kind of their thing.
But
But if
your
they're the
cleric
only one,
or your fighters who are more strength or intelligence based, they're not gonna.
now it doesn't say it here, but earlier in the rulings it does talk about group checks. And that's where the whole party, checks. In this case,
Mm-hmm.
stealth is the one that I think comes up in the example is that usually you need to at least have half the group. With a very hard DC, that's highly unlikely.
It's not
Now, if your
realistic.
druid has passed without a trace, it's far more likely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or if they turn into an owl.
But the owl doesn't give everyone else advantage, does it?
No, but they're not going to be spotted.
It's not advantage, but it's plus
Nope.
10, and that's kind
That's
of
huge.
insane.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Is the bonus. Anyways,
yeah.
It
so
may
that's
as
a
well
really,
be
that's a really
advantage.
good one. So, one of the other ones that I wanted to we'll do. Is there an easy DC in here anywhere?
That was the perception.
So
Interesting.
some of the the skills are different. Now you hear us talking easy, hard, moderate. Those difficulty DCs because you can change them depending on the level of your group. Or
Yeah.
the size of the city or whatever it is the situation they're in. These are recommended.
Again, it's kind of like a guideline.
Yeah.
It really is.
So actually perception, which is the most used, bar none in my opinion, perception is the most used skill. So
Yeah,
in
'cause
this
you,
one,
you need to perceive everything.
yeah,
It
the
makes
character
sense.
spots a patrol, identifies a potential informant, or finds good place to hide from pursuers for a brief period. This skill can only be used once.
Because it's easy.
Because it's an easy DC.
Can be only used to gain one success.
Yes, what did I say?
Can only
Well,
be used once.
Yeah, it can only be used once to gain one success in this challenge. So,
So that means if they failed it, well, one, shame on them.
all right, because it's easy. It's like a 5, I think.
I think it's literally 5, yeah. And 2, well, at least you get a second try if you really fudged it that hard.
Well, I guess it doesn't have to be 5. It could be like a 7 or an 8 if you
Yeah,
really wanted.
but
I
I
guess it
mean,
depends on your character's level.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, anyways, so I want to tell you that there is differing targets to hit, but there are limitations that come with them.
Yeah.
Which one did you want to talk about, Austin? Do you
I think
remember
it
what
was
it's called?
it should be on page 22, I believe. Like
that
I think it's
makes it
called
easy
King's
as well.
Vizier.
Yep.
I think that's the one. Yep,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
this one. So I really like this one because I always like the when it comes to skill challenges, I do like the social, like trying to persuade or that sort of thing to get into
Right.
where they need to go. So the massive ornate double doors close behind you with a resounding boom. The long grand hall, normally full of the king's court, is all but empty, including the throne. A jackal-headed being in fine robes stands alongside the throne, which is already really cool because I love big ornate hallways and stuff. I think that's fun. So the setup is that the characters are seeking an audience with a noble king or queen in hopes to kind of get assistance for the quest that they're doing. Unfortunately, the vizier is an asshole and doesn't like you. And they've advised the king and queen's predecessors for decades and considers the characters rivals for power, which may not be totally false, depending on your group. It doesn't want the characters anywhere near the king or queen where they can be influenced by them. They must convince the Arcanoloth that they aren't a threat and to allow them to access to the king or queen.
Just so we're clear, the Vizier's Arcanoloth.
Oh, Arcanoloth? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
it says it. The vizier is an ancient.
Well, I know
Arcanoloth.
I didn't know the pronunciation.
Oh.
Wait, just an a-hole.
Yeah, it's the asshole that the guy's trying to look at.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
This works best when performed as a group checks, but doesn't have to be. So this one isn't actually as complex. You only need 6 successes before 3 failures. But of course, these are group checks.
Which kind of adds to
to the fear.
difficulty, right? Because all you need is that one barbarian to say something stupid.
Yeah, to open his big mouth. And fun, which I really enjoyed by this one, was deception was the very hard one. You can't lie to this guy because he's used to you, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if I was playing my rogue, I would immediately try to lie to him. That's the thing.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It just means if you fail, you get
Hey, there's a failure.
a failure, and that means you won't get whatever it is you're seeking. In this case, you're seeking what? An audience with a noble
The
king or queen.
audience with the king to get help.
And lying is generally not the best way to do that,
yeah,
right?
not generally, no. So, do you want me to read the
Yeah.
deception one first? Okay.
Because I think it's important just so they know how the
Yeah,
text
how it
is
kind of
laid
works.
out.
Yeah. So it says deception. It's a very hard DC. The characters downplay their power, abilities, and ambitions. They attempt to convince the Arcanoloth to see them as less of a threat through lies and half-truths.
Now, I feel like it's important to point this out. Some people will say you're pulling away agency by using these. These are actually designed that once the player, you get players that say, "Oh, I just want to do this check." It gives you something to say when they
Yeah.
do that.
Because there's times when I'm trying to lie and I'm like, I don't know how to fucking lie my through.
But then
teeth
right
through
here is a
this.
great example.
Exactly.
It says you talk a lot of shit about your great power and your ambitions, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and try to lie about it.
Like I remember like one game I played a long time ago where we were trying to like roleplay a party, and we were in front of like the main noble, and I'm like, my bard says something clever and witty to make the guy laugh. I can't think of anything on top of my head, so I'll just roll diplomacy.
Right. And that's perfectly great.
And the DM's like, that's a good one.
Yeah, and
I like it.
in this
That's hilarious.
and this is just recommendations of how to deliver on that.
Right.
That's it. I know somebody in one of the initial playtest groups says, "Well, you're taking away my agency." Well, that depends on how the DM runs it.
For sure.
If you just say, I want to make a deception check," okay, well then if you don't tell me what you're doing, I'm gonna feed you what you're doing.
Right.
Otherwise, you tell me what you're doing. So
I also like how the failure is impose disadvantage on any further deception checks.
once they realize you're lying,
Probably,
less likely to succeed.
yeah.
Or in some cases, like maybe like the player says what they're going to say, maybe they roleplay it hardcore, and they do it so well that the DM might offer them advantage.
That's good.
Which
I
also
like that.
works.
And that's totally at the whims of the dungeon master.
Yep.
Yes.
Is there any other one here that was interesting? I don't know if you read any of them, but
That was like the big one for me just because it made sense. Because it was just like, this guy, again, the guy has probably seen so many people who want to try and seek audience with the king and queen that, like, he's going to look at you and be like, uh-huh.
right? Well, and it's
Uh-huh.
funny to talk about. So one that doesn't get pulled up a lot is history, right? So
Yeah, history.
History is on here as a hard DC, and the characters discuss historical tales and myths about the advisors, both traitorous and honorable, who have prevented their lieges from learning of bad news or from learning news of their realm's issues, and who have suffered disastrous repercussions due to their actions. So that's something that's put in there for you to feed to them if you decide to do a history check. What happens if they fail the history check?
Looks like the Arcanoloth uses his knowledge to poke holes in the character's stories or declares that they are false.
Fake news.
Yeah, it's fake news. Impose disadvantage on the next history or persuasion check. Ooh, you got hit on the persuasion.
So, something that doesn't get used often is history. And
Agreed.
because of that, I felt it needed really something thorough. Well, how are you going to leverage history in this situation? Well, if you know the history of the area, the character might, hey, I grew up here. I know all about the history. I'm going to use that to talk his ego up or
Right,
whatever.
Kind of get to closer to him.
The one I kind of liked was Investigation, which was a moderate DC, where the characters repeat rumors or whispers of ambition among other royal advisors,
I like that
nobles,
one,
or
too. That's a good one.
high-profile merchants. Which is what I saw. Like, you're worried about us or about this, and this guy? We're trying to help. This is what we're trying to tell your king.
It's a good one. I
Right.
like that.
And
That's
again, it's another one of those things where it's like, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I mean, your characters, I'm hoping as they're walking around, they're probably going to pick up on a few things about what's going on, and they're going to use it to their advantage. At least, I would hope. But,
Depends on the group.
yeah, for sure.
So-
For sure.
We mentioned the different ways to succeed. So a total success, if they just fly through it, perfect score, the Arcanoloth allows the characters to remain and gain an audience with the king or queen. That's it. You get exactly what you want. Woo! But what if you succeed with a few? He's got his doubts. The Arcanoloth allows the characters to remain and gain an audience with the king or queen. but this requires that the Arcanoloth bring them evidence of their royal to their royal advisors how powerful nobles or somebody else that is threatening its position. So you have to go out and do me a favor.
Yep,
Which
it's
we were talking
the
about earlier.
favor thing.
Yep.
You do me a favor and find out somebody who's trying to backstab me, because Ian just mentioned it. There's all kinds of, that person's trying to kill that person or get up in on this person and take that person so we can get his seat. He says, I'll let you in, but you got to go do something for me.
This is when like the main cast sits and has the audience with the king, because that's kind of what they're meant to do, and then the rogue is going out and being like, hey, I'm just gonna go do this thing where I'm gonna steal this letter so that way we know what's going on. Thanks. And then he dips.
All right, and then, of course, on a failure, the Arcanoloth allows the characters to remain and gain an audience with the king or queen, but first meets with the king or queen, advising that they not trust the characters, impose disadvantage on all skill checks involved in pleading for the king or queen's help.
Okay. Fine. You can see them, but I'm watching you.
See, and I like this failure because it's not an outright no.
Right.
You are at least giving.
Try to avoid that.
Yeah, and you're at least giving the players a chance to at least be like, hey, I know we don't sound very trusting. We kind of had a rough day. We met some demons.
Are you lying? Give me I'm gonna need an
Yeah.
insight check. Or
Are you
deception
sure you're
check.
lying? It's like, no, I'm not lying. Please.
That's
I
funny.
still have the e-core on my shirt.
That's funny. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that was really something that I actively tried to avoid.
It's not fun just to be like, oh, you failed everything. Your idea is now not.
Yeah.
You can't do it now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very pivotal thing.
So I'm not gonna go. We're kind of running behind on time here,
Yeah.
so I just want to mention really quickly the one that I brought up, and actually is the one you'll find in the show notes if you go to our website and check out the blog, which is the dismantling the wards.
Ooh,
Alan, can I just say how awesome you are?
that
Because I
picture
just
looks
realized
awesome.
that the credits are hyperlinks.
Oh,
You are the
nice.
man. I don't care what anybody else says about it. I'm just kidding. All right, so I like this one because it's something that can be applied in a combat scenario if you want. Intricate
Which are always
arcane
good.
glyphs surround a prisoner, forming a prismatic magical circle. The colors of the barrier are ever-changing, humming with a low resonating power. The setup is the characters have been tasked with rescuing an NPC for some renown, for whatever reason. That's up to you as the DM to decide why they're there. When they finally locate them, they find that the NPC has been imprisoned in a powerful magical circle, and the characters must dismantle the wards that have been placed or risk hurting themselves or killing the NPC.
Shoot, we kind of did something like this in Everness already once with the portal.
Yep, they
Yep.
did.
Oh yeah, we did.
No. I did.
Well, you don't.
But there was
I know.
one of the skill challenges. You guys ran one of the skill challenges that was in the last one,
Right.
With the flooding of the portal.
Yep.
But in this one, the guy's imprisoned, or the person's in prison, and you got to get out. Now this one is a complexity 1. It's 4 successes, 3 failures, meant to go quick. Something that's why those ones you can usually end up doing in combat, right? Because they're low checks. And go ahead.
I was gonna go ahead. I was gonna
go
say I had one that I really liked out of the list that I was
so
interested in.
The primary skills for this are Arcana, Constitution, and Investigation. Now, Arcana, that's a weird one. We're going to talk about that in a second. Why don't you tell me about the one you like?
I was gonna choose Constitution because that is awesome.
Okay.
So I love it when characters kind of just willpower their way through shit. They're like, fuck the laws of magic. I'm gonna just rip my way through real quick. Zorax has done that a few times by picking up a fucking devil shield, and he's like, oh, nope, this is all sorts of not good, guys. I'm going to hold on to it for a little longer.
Okay.
But that was on Wisdom. This is Constitution. Now, it's a moderate DC. The character attempts to weaken the ward by drawing some of the energy into themselves, either by direct contact or by attacking with a melee weapon.
Let him out! Just smash it with an axe.
I just want to imagine he's like, so,
Set every
I know
barbarian.
it's not really a door, but...
So that's pretty good. So what are the benefits of that?
Success grants advantage on the next Arcana check, which is awesome. And the character loses 1 hit die. Not as awesome, but that's okay. Failure, they lose 2 hit die. That's also not very good.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's
At
terrible.
all.
But I don't know. I like the whole, like, like you pretty much just like I'm just gonna rub some dirt in it and put some elbow grease in it. I'm just gonna rip this thing open.
Go beyond.
Yeah,
Plus ultra.
it's pretty good. I like that.
Ian, is there one that
Yeah, well, let me see. We
just covered Constitution?
right.
Yeah.
But really, the only options was Arcana, Investigation, and Constitution, which we covered. And Investigation, the characters identifies hidden additional arcane glyphs hidden under thick layers of dirt that can only be used. And this can only be used to gain 1 success, which also grants advantage on the next Arcana check.
Yep. So this is really cool because everyone's gonna try to do the investigation. So normally I really struggle. Like, well, what could they possibly find that would help them with this?
I like the idea. Just being able to because there's always gonna be more.
Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't
dust
just
it off a
because you
little bit.
see it. Yeah. It's like that was there. That's kind of important.
Right. It also makes it so he doesn't misinterpret it. So the big one is the
Yes.
Arcana check, right?
Right.
Studying the magical circle, the character grants insight into the ward and confirms it cannot be opened with mundane means. They begin to use their knowledge of the weave to dismantle the threads of the complex ward, pulling and twisting on the weave's threads in a mix of lights and floating arcane sigils. I'm very much seeing like Doctor Strange kind of shit going on here
Yeah.
with all the little glyphs floating in the air. Now, it doesn't tell you what happens on a success. It's just a success, right? No additional benefits. You'll notice now that the secondary skills here actually benefit the primary skill,
yep.
right? So on a failure, a chaotic surge of magic rushes through the character, causing the character to lose 1 hit die. If the character doesn't have any hit die, they instead suffer a level of exhaustion.
That's tough.
You seeing a trend?
But I do like it. I see. I've always been a fan of how you do that because I don't like the whole like you take 16d6 of raw lightning damage. Sorry, buddy.
I've done that too, though.
That's a
unfortunately.
good time. Hey, I mean it's fine.
Or some handcuffs.
Yeah, those are some tough handcuffs, dude.
And I do think it's nice that the
I still have them.
the skill challenge actually does take Dispel Magic into account.
Oh,
I
yeah,
do
how
like
so?
that as well.
Okay.
I mean, I know the answer.
Because
but
like my
let me
knee-jerk
know.
reaction was like, can you just use Dispel Magic and get rid of this? But until I read this line, I'm like, oh, for the purpose of Dispel Magic, treat the effect as a 6th level spell. And Dispel Magic can only be remove 1 spell effects at a time.
Which is still very cool. I'm trying to think of another skill you could probably use in here.
Yeah.
And I want to say like maybe even like history, saying if you've ever recalled seeing another one of these before.
Okay.
In like
I could
studies.
see that, and you can do that.
Or Sleight of Hand.
How so?
I was also trying to wonder how to fit sleight of hand in there, but what do you think?
Basically just treat it like when you're trying to disable a bomb. It's just a magic one in this case.
Well, this is a magical circle, so there's no.
Right.
As far as I can tell, there's no like trinket. Well, I guess you could. There could be.
Okay. Well, I saw the fail effects, so I don't think calling it a magical bomb's out of the question either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
So let's actually talk about that then.
Yeah. Let's go
total
into-
success. The characters are able to successfully disable the magical circle prison and its warding. Poof, it's gone.
Yay!
On a success, the characters are able to successfully disable the magical prison and its warding, but the experience was taxing on the characters. The arcane energy sapped their strength. All characters lose a hit die. Now, you may not have hit dice, and now you may suffer a level of exhaustion. So, those are important to keep in mind.
Very, very rough stuff.
Yeah.
On a failure, the character is able to safely bring down the magical, are able to safely bring down the prison's wards. As a result, it actually, I just found a typo.
Yep.
It should be aren't able to safely bring down the magical prison's wards.
Yep.
As a result, a powerful torrent of prismatic arcane energy is released. Each creature in a 20-foot radius of the circle must succeed a hard DC Constitution saving throw or suffer a level of exhaustion. The DM can determine randomly or decide if the NPC in the center is unconscious, maimed, or dead.
Quite literally a magical bomb.
Yep.
Could you? So there's a ward, and then there's the prison that's separate, right?
No, just think it's actually based off the magic circle spell, which we actually do touch on. A character with
Oh,
magic
I
circle
see it.
spell
Yep, I see
prepared
it.
has advantage on all checks. But
Gotcha.
So what it is, it's just basically a magical circle on the ground, and then there's
Yep.
energy that crackles up from the base.
Could you? Because I'm still trying to think of like other skills you could probably like throw in there. Because I feel like we want to maybe emphasize the fact that you could do that, right? We want to,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
because like, while I don't think you could use sleight of hand, I'm sure you could probably use like any sort of like dexterity check to like mess up the ward. Maybe.
like try to draw. Okay, so let's
Essentially, you're, like,
think about,
writing
let's think of
extra-
it as like a electric fence, and if you touch
Yeah.
it, you weaken it. So if somebody said, "Hey, I want to try to draw power away from it," like you did with the Unconstitution, but I'm weak. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw a bunch of weapons at it and lean them against it to sap its strength.
I was thinking
like
more
zzz.
like
Short circuit.
rewiring it. So like,
See, that would
you're
be Arcana,
actively.
though.
Oh, I
If
guess
it's-
it would
if
be
it's- it's
Arcana
all
because it's
magic.
magical. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Depending on the situation, I just thought about how maybe you could treat this like a heist instead of a rescue mission, where okay, the stone ceiling above this guy. Well, let's cast shape stone above him. Lower a rope.
I just thought,
See, no,
son of
that's
a
another
bitch. That,
thing.
see,
Yeah,
I would
that's-
reward that. If you came up to me with that, I would say, you know what? The top is open. You asked about sleight of hand.
What do you think?
Carefully scratching and damaging
Like the
glyphs.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
See, that would make sense. That'd be tough, but that's the point.
That's the point, right?
Yeah, that is the part of the challenge. But I could definitely see like a rogue thinking like scratching his head like, now I don't know shit about magic, but what I do know is if I fuck this thing up, something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna go.
Yeah, because I actually remember thinking that was when I flashback to like a dungeon in Pathfinder one time where we once annoyed the DM saying, you need to go through all these basement sub-levels before you get to the boss. It's gonna be a meat grinder. Shape earth, shape earth, shape earth, shape earth, shape earth.
All the way down.
Yep.
Yep.
That reminds me of in Underworld where she just needs to go down a level, so she just shoots the floor out
Yep,
below
she
her.
just shoots the floor down.
And I was like, what the? It's
All
like
right.
came from like the holes in the...
What did you guys think of the layout?
I do like the layout.
good
It's,
layout.
it's very pretty. It's very
It's very 4th edition to me,
Yeah.
which I think is appropriate.
Yep. So I mean, skill challenge is like a big thing in 4th, so...
Yeah, I don't know if he did that on purpose or not.
mhm.
Because Alan did the layout for
But
me.
I do that was a good one. I like that that last
There
challenge we had
are
right
there are 19 skill challenges and challenge accepted too.
and there is a lot of variety to it.
Yeah, and I think we didn't even talk about my favorite one, which is the bargaining of the method. Making a
I
deal
did
with the method. It's
I
funny.
saw that one. That one was
Um,
funny.
There's 19 in here, going from repairing a ship through
Just being in the desert.
going through a gate of souls. Yeah, getting lost in the desert. That's a
Like
fun one.
there's a
You
there's
ever
a
had an
lot of,
encounter that causes players to lose items? There's one for you.
that's a good one. I like that idea.
If you fail this check, boom, you drop your stuff and it's lost in the desert.
That's rough, buddy.
So there's lots of good stuff in here. I have a lot of fun making these. This is the first time I did like the sequential skill challenges where they're done in stages. So like catching a thief is something that's done in stages. So.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because
overall,
first you got to catch them and then you got to restrain them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
overall, I really enjoyed writing this. It was a lot of fun. And I hope that we've brought you guys some kind of
That Buried Alive
inspiration
one is
today.
scary.
Yeah, it is.
The concept alone is so mortifying to begin with, and that picture really sells it.
Yeah. That is a good picture. I
Yeah,
scavenged to get some good stuff.
That's some
All right,
good
I
stuff.
think that'll do it for our episode today. Challenge accepted 1 and 2. Obviously, I say 1 and 2. We have both. They are standalone, so you don't need one or the other. All the rules for running them are in both books, so pick them up. You can head on over to crickacademy.com or DMsguild and pick them up. If you like them, please leave a review. A lot of work goes
Certainly
into
helps.
these. A lot of work. I don't hardly have any free time anymore.
What's that?
Yeah, I know. But it's okay. I like doing it, so...
Fair enough.
That'll do it for our main topic today. Before we move on to our Unearthed tips and tricks, we have another gift to give away. Compliments of Jeff Stevens.
I guess it doesn't matter because he could read it. I own both. Awesome. Woo!
Nick Riggs, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy them. Do you want to pick that up there, Ian?
All right. From Jeff Stevens Games.
No porn while we're streaming.
I just couldn't even.
Oh,
tell
you're one to
what
talk.
happened.
Anyway.
It happened once.
Scourge of the Just Steven Games presents Scourge of the Nightingale, Part 1, A Song of Love. A mass menace terrifies the region, raiding villages to fund her devious plans. Unknowingly, the adventurers stumble into her most recent evil scheme, the kidnapping of a famous performer known as Devon Artis. Their mission is to deliver a ransom and collect Devon, though, as in most cases, not all goes as planned.
I would love for Devon to be in that Dismantling the Ward skill challenge.
Yeah.
Blow that fucker up, Pookie.
And today's winner is, I'm guessing it's Lee G, 1993.
Woo!
Heck yeah.
Congratulations.
Could be Leia G, I don't know.
Yeah. One of the two.
Anyways, congratulations. If you enjoy the product, please leave them a review and consider picking up part 2 and 3. If you didn't win, have no fear. Crit Academy is here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Jeff Stevens and get Villains and Layers 3 and Encounters on the Savage Seas 3 for free.
Booyah.
Woo! Fat
Boom.
loots. Jeff is all about those fat loots.
It's true.
And actually, while we're talking about Jeff, that reminds me, you guys.
Senior Hiff.
Senior Hiff.
Senor Hiff.
That's funny. Where is the...
I don't know. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the Google Drive button. What the...
Not that one.
Where's it at? There's no Google Drive button. What the hell?
I just go to make a new tab and just
Yeah,
go to
there
the
it
triple
is. But
dot.
usually there's a little button there. So, actually, it's Gmail I want anyway. I'm not
All
having
right,
a good
dude.
day.
All right.
So I'm really excited. Jeff Stevens is been such a great pal to us. He's actually
Absolutely.
a lot of the inspiration for how
Jeff has been greatly generous
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a mentor and a source of encouragement for, oh man, it's been years now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been years.
So I want to give him a blurb because he's got a Kickstarter upcoming. And I'm
Ooh.
really excited about it. We'll actually be having him on the show soon.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about Adventures from the Potbelly Kobold, a book containing 15 short 5th edition adventures designed by some of the RPG's industry's greatest talent. A few of the adventures are
Into the Clouds by JVC Perry.
Blue Moon by Kat Evans.
Shattered Grace by Sly Flourish.
Clunk Spindle's Clockwork Conundrum.
Try again.
Clunk Spindle's Clockwork Conundrum by MT Black.
Redeemed with Fire by Sean Merwin.
And Instability of Isolation by Tony Winslow Brill.
I just want to say I most certainly had the hardest one.
I avoided that one on purpose.
Yeah, I see that.
I actually know who some of these people are.
Yeah, we've had some of them on our show.
I know.
The adventures are designed to be used individually, giving a game master the ability to run a quick one-shot or allowing them to drop the adventure into their own campaign. The Pot-Bellied Kobold also has a way to link several of the adventures, providing you with a short campaign.
Woohoo! Adventures from the Potbelly Kobold uses creatures from the 5th edition basic rules, but also provides suggestions on how to integrate creatures found in Kobold's presses, Tomes of Beast, and the Creature Codex.
That's cool.
It is very cool.
Because they're including a large group of really putting those books to use that some people,
Yes.
if they don't use it in homebrew, they don't use it, you know. So I really am excited for this product. Like I said, Jeff has really been awesome to me, so I wanted to give him a big shout out
Yeah.
here and say thank you to everything. I'll send a link in the we have hang on a second. We actually have a nice little reward in our blog. I sent out a blog that actually has a sample from it last week, I think, that you can pick up. That's free.
Oh, wow.
So, and as soon as I figure out what I titled the blog as, I'll send it to you guys here. Of course, my internet's running slow, probably because he's streaming several different sources, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like I actually talk with people.
Well, if you use the app I showed you, you can talk to across all three at once.
This is weird, though.
It is weird. All right, so I think
I
my
swear you
blog
clicked on
button's
it.
not working.
Yeah. Maybe. Can you just do like /blog or something?
/post, actually.
Is it post? Oh.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Couldn't.
Oh,
Anyways,
all
I'll
right.
put the link in the post while we're going through our Unearthed tips and tricks.
Worked for me.
Well, I don't know what the hell is going on.
I couldn't
Find it.
tell you.
Find it. It's
Oh, it just.
What's it called?
Yeah, it just worked.
it's Slime Came of Norwal. Free adventure.
Okay.
You can find it at critacademy.com/post/slime-cave-of-of Norwal-free-adventure. Maybe you should just like paste that.
Yeah.
Shame on Justin for not changing that too. It's shorter. All right, so thank you, Jeff, for all your help. You're
Much
welcome
appreciated,
for the plug. All right, moving on to our Unearthed tips and tricks, where we bring you new and reusable content for you to bring with you on your next adventure. Who wants to take the character concept?
Why not? I'll run with it. So we got our character concept here. That is the Doomsayer. I speak for the cold darkness beyond the stars. I see the myriad of ways that doom comes upon you. You wrap yourself in the fear of the darkness beyond the stars and use it as a shield against your enemies. In addition, you examine the strands of fate to issue the proclamations of doom to all who stand against you.
So I got-
Basically,
Sorry.
you are crazy.
What? No.
I'd say you're a goth guy.
So there's a specific class that doesn't follow this theme at all, but you could easily give it this theme. You know what that is?
That's what, sir. Warlock.
That's what I was going to lead
I was
with.
thinking specifically the divination wizard who has the portent.
Who has the what?
The portent ability. You roll the dice and you can replace dice during the game with those rolls. And so you're issuing proclamations of doom to all those who stand against you, right?
Oh.
So you can literally change the DM's dice rolls.
Okay.
So when you get like 2s and 3s and low rolls, I have foreseen your doom. My name is Raccoon, and it rhymes with doom. And you'll be meeting your end all too soon. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So the divination wizard's portent ability fits great with this because normally you think divination they're seeing the future, but no, they're not seeing a good future. They're only seeing the bad futures.
You are all going to die. Just figured you want to know.
Oh man, that person would be awesome to have.
That'd be kind of fun. I like that.
Is there any other spells or abilities you think would make good for this or features?
I see that you have like the lore bard down, which actually I could agree with that as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
they have
any-
cutting words.
Yeah.
So instead of it being you're shouting at them, it's
Instead of you actually knowing the future's grim and dark, you're just telling them the future's
It's
grim and
like,
dark.
you should know that man over there is about to slice your abdomen deep with a gash.
Just kidding, it was me.
The Bane spell is a
took a
good,
level
good
in
one
Rogue.
too, right?
Yeah, Bane is very
you're
good.
reflavoring the
I just love the Bane spell. What a
Yeah.
fun spell.
See, it's hard though. Like when I have access
Yeah.
to Bless or Bane, I will always take Bless.
I could actually see this being a reflavored version of a Vicious Mockery, too, for that matter.
There you go.
It's a good one.
I didn't even think about that. Because you're basically, instead of insulting them, setting this, you're saying the doom that's going to befall them and knocking them off their game.
I see what you're going to do. It's not going to work.
I love that. That's an intimidation check.
Or like maybe it's like you speak the literal like strands of fate that is doom, and like as it like hits them in their head, like you're mentally like altering them, so they're like, oh fuck, oh no, I see it myself now. It's like, oh yeah, wait, really? I mean, yes, you
Dude.
see the doom.
Tossing illusion spells in with that.
That'd be
that
fun.
whole theme.
That'd be good. I like
I
that.
love it.
But
That'll.
yeah, I did immediately also think like warlock.
Yeah, I didn't think Warlock at all, but I
think
mean,
like the
there's-
Pact of the Fiend is like, oh yeah, I see Doom. He's my best friend, unfortunately.
That'll do it for our character concept, the Doomsayer. Our monster variant is the Blackrock Dreadnought. A combination of acid and stone, the Blackrock Dreadnought prefers to follow commands, leaving hard decisions to those smarter than itself.
Me too.
So long as its endless appetite for death and destruction can be sated.
It's like any cat.
Yeah.
It's just a cat that's around who's trying to murder everything.
So you'll use the stat block of the gargoyle. It'll lose its bite and false appearance. It'll also lose immunity to petrification. I didn't write that on there, but that just seemed like a given. Oh no, it's still a BlackRock Dreadnought. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
That's why it's not there.
Yeah. New features are immunity to acid. You're going to give it acidic aura at the start of each of the Dreadnought's turns. Each creature within 5 feet takes 1d3, 1d4 acid damage, and a creature that touches it or hits it with a melee attack also takes 1d4 acid damage.
Nice.
I like it.
Caustic Boulder, recharge 6, ranged weapon attack. He launches this thing for 1d10 bludgeoning damage, hit or miss that splashes the area, and the target and each creature within 5 feet must succeed a DC 13 Dex save or take 2d6 acid damage.
It's literally an acid fireball,
Yes.
but it's also a rock.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's also not 8d6.
Yeah, it's also not 8d6, but it could
What,
be.
did I say 8d6?
No.
No, but it should be.
Well, when we
could
said
be.
fireball, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what?
But it should be.
But it's I just envision if it's going to be hurling boulders and it's coated in acid, the boulders might as well be coated in acid
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So why not make it deal more damage?
He's going to rock out.
But wait, there's more.
He has a
Yeah.
reaction called knockback. When the Dreadnought is hit with a melee weapon attack, it can use its reaction to take the shove action. Guess what you do when you take the shove action? You knock a bitch to the ground.
I would love it if they did like the shove action, but like they hit a wall and then your DM's like, oh yeah, well since this giant rock monster just slammed your head into a wall, you take bludgeoning damage.
I've done that. I've treated it as fall damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not raw, but I don't
Right.
think a lot of people would argue too much of that.
I just think like
Well, some will, but
it'd
yeah.
be like super cool, right? This giant monster just threw you into a wall. Now there's no like throwing damage, so why not make it a thing?
I do.
Some people do. Yeah.
And I think that's fun.
Yeah. Well, I like the knockback just because you can push somebody into prone.
Yeah,
So
and
every following attack would have disadvantage, or or the monster would have advantage in slamming you into the
He's
ground.
just punching you in the earth.
Like, how pissed off would you be as the paladin? You come up, you slap him, he just bitch slaps you, and you fall to the ground, and then you're trying to either get up or, like, stab him in the air. But if you used all your movement, or more than half your movement, to get to him, you can't stand back up. So his
Yeah.
next time, he just steps on you.
He's like, he just comes in, he's like,
giving you the boot.
he's like,
Sure,
hey,
you good?
that's bad.
That's funny. Oh, man. All right, I think that'll do it for the monster variant, the BlackRock Dreadnought.
All right.
Ian, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the pod? Damn, I should add you the monster. I really like this encounter.
Yeah. Too bad.
Whatever.
The encounter of the podcast today is the Door of the Dragon.
Ooh.
The characters approach a large, intricately carved wooden double door.
Cool.
The image of a ferocious dragon, surrounded by small white gems, watches protectively for anyone who approaches. Etched into the door in Draconic is the words, "Speak the name of your king and queen to pass."
I like how it's in Draconic.
A character with Draconic heritage can speak the words, and the door will open.
Do they have to have specifically Draconic heritage?
I think that implies that no Draconic as a result, so...
So the idea was that a character with Draconic heritage, that would be a
Dragonborn.
Dragonborn
Or
or a
the
sorcerer.
Sorcerer with the dragon
yeah.
bloodline thing? Yeah.
There's no puzzle. They bypass the puzzle because of the nature of who they are.
Okay, so it's not just strictly you have to have Draconic. You have to be basically born with Draconic
The reason
blood.
I included
Okay.
this because I feel like it's so awesome to have an option that
Absolutely.
doesn't come into play very often in heritage and race.
For sure.
Isn't.
Yes.
So saying having everyone trying to solve this problem and then the Dragonborn just walk up and say it and the damn door's open, like, well, you were expecting this big complex puzzle. Well, because of your group makeup.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that a
didn't
lot.
need it.
I
Anyways,
definitely like that a
continue.
lot.
Now, the door has a mechanical lock, as well as the arcane lock spell cast on it. A strength athletics check to defeat the lock is really high, of DC 30 actually.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Your barbarian's probably not going to break it down.
You would love to, but he ain't gonna. Oh my
And the
goodness.
dexterity check to bypass the magical lock using thieves' tools is 25.
Also ridiculous.
Yes, but doable. Casting the
Doable,
knock
but
spell
it's hard.
on the door suppresses the magical lock for 10 minutes, lowering the DC by 10 during that time.
More
So that
reasonable.
Much
Yeah.
reasonable, yeah.
the mechanical lock remains intact if the magical lock is bypassed, requiring another knock spell or the use of the key, which you can plant on any patrol as you wish. And the door is also warded from forced entry.
Fucking
Jesus.
Justin, what were you doing?
If a character tries
No
to
one
force
can
the
come
door
in here.
open or fails a check to unlock it, triggers the trap. A successful DC 21 perception check detects tiny little cold fractures around a series of small white gems set in the door. If activated, anyone within range is hit by a cone of cold spell emanating from the white gems.
Get wrecked.
Now, is it just one instance of Cone of Cold, or is it multiple depending how many gems there are?
Well,
I just have it worded with just one cone of cold effect, but damn, that would.
that doesn't mean it doesn't trigger multiple times.
Right.
See, that's what I was going
In
for.
in my mind, it would trigger once, but it could every time you fail, you trigger.
Right.
I like how there's no combat.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
just a puzzle
a giant
And it's-
fucking door.
And it's also worth mentioning that cone of cold is a 5th level spell.
It's very strong.
It's pretty strong. Yeah.
So what makes this interesting is a couple things. First of all, there is a way to bypass it,
Yep.
Yes.
and actually makes it not threatening or anything. So I could easily see giving either a religion check for people who follow Bahamut, because it says speak the name of the king and queen to pass. You notice I didn't actually tell you what it is.
Yeah, you didn't.
Do you guys know what it is?
Bahamut and Tiamat.
It is.
That's interesting.
In
I do
Draconic.
like that a lot.
It ties directly to what? History.
Yes, to the history of it, which is also very cool. Yeah, yeah.
Matt. Another door?
Sorry, Matt.
So, what?
I guess I should.
So,
probably...
would you allow them, for someone who is a follower of Bahamut, to be able to speak the names and to get in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, no,
Because
it
thing
requires
is-
Draconic heritage to just bypass.
Right.
I would say that if somebody in Draconic says the line that's the right answer, I would probably just lower the DC.
Okay, but you
For
wouldn't
everything.
tell them.
I
I
wouldn't
imagine
tell them,
you
no.
wouldn't even. Would you even give?
I would give a clue that you use
That,
a
like, the
flicker
ward-
of awards or something
Okay.
happens. I mean, it's the responsibility of the DM to include little details like that. I didn't feel like I needed to explain all of it.
Right.
But I do feel like I should have at least give the answers to the. I thought it was obvious, but then it occurs to me that may not be obvious that it's Bahamut and Tiamat.
I figured Bahamut was one of them, but I didn't. I forgot that
Yep.
Tiamat is the queen.
Yeah,
and is the
brother and
the
sister
other
in law.
half. So that's kind of cool. So
Overall, what do you guys think?
I love it. This is very cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of memes out there
You're
that
on.
stress DM should not assume.
You're on your game.
Please,
Thanks.
you guys try to. It's just a catfish. Stop trying to seduce it. Just please move on past the river already.
I also like including the use of the knock spell, which is expected.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool here is with an intelligence or history check, they may know that they just need to go find somebody. If they can't get past these,
That's also
they
a good
could just
idea
go
too.
find somebody
Yeah.
that meets those requirements.
That actually kind of ties into like one of the other hints that's coming up.
How many cone of colds do you think a party would have to take for like, we can't get this. We should probably just find somebody with draconic heritage.
Odd enough to where someone dies.
Well, Billy's dead. We need a replacement anyway. Let's find a dragon.
Yeah, let's find a dragonborn.
Yeah, some players are slow learners.
Billy was one of them.
All right, that'll do it for the encounter of the podcast.
That was pretty good. I liked that one.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I put a lot of work
Yeah.
into this shit. I'm
Yeah.
getting better.
I would
What?
what if I don't know. It's cool. I'm just
Sounds like you wanna
wondering what else, like, if there was another way I could bypass it somehow, but I'm like, no, it's pretty locked tight.
Transmutation.
Yeah.
Chipstone.
Can the transmutation spell change blood? Could you give yourself
Like draconic blood.
yeah?
Would you live for much longer afterwards?
I don't
Because
know.
you have suddenly a different blood type and your body's like,
Now you're getting into the science of it.
Yeah, I
But
guess
know
that's
that
fair, yeah.
The transmutation wizard's very underused, and I think it can do a lot of cool things. And if a player had a high enough level, I'd
could
probably
you
be like, you probably
fool
do
an ancient door like that? I
no
guess why
idea.
not? It's just a door.
Ritual of the dragon heart infused to a sacrifice.
Ooh.
Oh shit! I
What
love
if you
that.
found an actual dragon to agree with you?
Well, he's gonna want.
That's a
something in
whole
return.
nother encounter.
Yeah, I love that. Like players might think of that. Well, let's go find a young dragon.
That dragon's
go
not
hunting.
gonna fucking like you.
Let's make a deal. Open the door for us, and we'll give you something to start your horde.
I'm sure if you walk around in town long enough, you will find a gold dragon or a silver dragon. Just beware, because
That's true.
they're high level dragons and they
They
will
actually,
they will devour you on sight.
I was reading because I did the research for this, and in the Bahamut's lore, it talks about how he appears to mortals and when he walks around as a mortal.
Uh-huh.
And there's a dead giveaway that it's him, but you have to know that.
I didn't.
in
know,
order
no.
to spot them. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to tell you what it is because
Well, yeah, because now that I know that, it's like, oh shit, have
you're
I
watching
met
for
him
it.
before?
Right. All right, that'll do it for our Encounter the podcast. The
Door of the Dragon.
Door of the Dragon.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
We
Austin,
should
you wanna-
incorporate more like race stuff in like encounters.
Well,
'cause
I
that's cool.
started. I'm there. So now that I've done it
That's-
once, hopefully
pretty
I'll
cool.
do it more.
Yeah,
All right. Do you want to tell us about our magic item?
absolutely. This is the Crypt Spawn Potion. This
Sounds like
It
you
doesn't
drank it
like to
already.
be- yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't like being talked about.
fuck. This vicious liquid smells faintly of death, yet invigorates you against diseases and poison.
That's interesting.
It's a
Drink
potion. It's
Drink
uncommon.
this nasty smelling stuff.
Yeah, a character who drinks this magical ash gray fluid, not even a liquid,
Ah, the blood of
regains
my enemy.
4d4 plus 4 hit points. Nice. Additionally, you gain immunity to poison and necrotic damage for. I'm sorry, immunity
Yep.
That's what
for
it
1
says.
minute. Holy shit.
Entire battle.
Yeah, that's
It's a
really
game changer.
That is a huge game changer. Oh yeah, that devil that's like throwing like necrotic damage at me nonstop. I'm just gonna take a swig of this, and he's gonna look at me like, "How in the fresh?"
Give me a con save to see if you barf. It's
Yeah.
so nasty and throw it back up.
Yeah, it's
Hit-
like,
Hit
jeez.
me with the finger of death. I dare you.
This is another
Pretty
item
good.
made from our generator,
Yep.
our magic healing potion generator.
Really?
You can get that
Let's
at
go-
critacademy.com in the freebie section. Honestly, I just I need a magic item that's consumable. Hey, I made a whole thing about these. Let me just roll it up.
Boop, boop, boop. Oh,
Uh,
this one's interesting.
do you guys like this though?
No,
Yep.
yeah, it's
Simple and
great.
straightforward,
It is
right?
Powerful,
Yeah.
potent.
That's how I do it. That'll do it for our magic item, the Crypt Spawn potion.
I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, you just throw it on some like trees, and suddenly you grew a zombie. Not sure how that happened, but it fights for you for a minute.
You just gave me an awesome idea for a consumable.
Cool.
Dragon Ball Z, Cybermen. I'm totally making a
Oh
potion
my
that
God.
spews out Cybermen.
Some Cybermen.
We can grow our own rabbits.
Oh no, young baby Vegeta or Vegeta Jr.
Junior.
Vegeta Junior.
Vegeta Junior, no.
He's worth 3 Raditz. I love that's the best way to measure power levels. All right.
I love it.
Or just in the Argonauts.
Oh, the Argonauts.
Yeah, the movie. Where they had Hydra teeth and they grew out as skeletons.
Oh my
I don't
God.
remember that.
Could that be like a necromancer like character concept where it's like, oh yeah, he makes these people, but it's just he throws his teeth out and he grows skeletons of
That's
himself.
So gross. Ian, would you like to tell us about our Dungeon Master tip?
Our Dungeon Master tip for today is interpreters.
Oh my God, is this from us?
Yeah.
I can already see it.
Well, this is part of the reason it came up because you guys have ran into this exact issue.
That fucking sucked.
Yeah. Include interpreters to make language variations stand out in your games. By forcing the characters to interact with an intermediary, you open the world to a new collection of challenges. What if the interpreter isn't around? Maybe an enemy poisoned them. Now the characters can't communicate with that person that they are likely to protect. And also, it gives some of the lesser used character spells and abilities such as tongues a chance to shine. Likewise, this can end up with a single player character becoming an interpreter, leading to similar situations.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty fun.
Yep.
Honestly, like when I was starting to talk to the big demon guy, who was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, well, "Don't you see I'm inspecting the ship? Did you not just see the Bone Devil down there? You want to ask about them?" And he was like,
I thought I'd give you a clipboard.
"Clipboard really sells it, man.
Yeah, you guys are bullshit.
It's so fun though, just because like
Yeah, and then the one time it failed, you're like, oh, he saw through it, motherfucker. Look how far you got.
yeah, I know, but like still, it was fun.
I was like, you'll bitch about anything.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Yep. Enemies may act tough when you draw swords and fling spells at them, but you pull bureaucracy.
That's even worse than any blade.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure. When you tell
30
them that,
days of paperwork? Are you kidding me? I'll take a sword to the gut instead.
like,
Shoot, there was a meme that went around from a Batman episode with the Joker. Are you nuts? I may be crazy. I might be able to fight Batman, but I am not going up against the IRS.
yeah, dude, no one's that dumb. So I just like the concept because we were just talking to the devil. And I was like, "It's like, yeah, you don't want to get demoted." He's like, "No, but we can demote that guy." Yeah, absolutely, we'll do that. I should have said something like that. Would have been great.
Yeah, I like this because when you're in a situation where you need to protect somebody or you need to communicate with nobility, but they're from a foreign land. What happens when the area is attacked and you no longer have anybody to talk to that person? It makes it very challenging to communicate ideas, thoughts, and concepts.
Well, we all better start to learn how to like point at things and make sense of it.
Or you can even have like a fun to a degree somewhat with like how sometimes a phrase may not necessarily translate one-to-one over to another language.
Okay. And then end up getting things mixed up.
Yeah.
I told you to go in and get my armor. This is your armor. You said the dead armor. What? That's why it's all rusted. I said the red armor, asshole!
Or like, you're trying to tell him to fuck off, but you instead told the noble you wanted to fuck his daughter.
Oh, no, Jesus.
That's a real big blunder.
Right?
Translator, ask the orc what his name is. The orc says his name is Dennis.
Oh, God, not this again.
Wait, this big guy's name's Dennis? Well, actually, in Orcish, his name means lover of skulls.
His name's Skullfucker?
Lover of skulls.
It also could mean he collects them, but...
That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip and interpreters.
Pretty good one.
Our player tip of the podcast is
Don't be a dick!
Oh, wow.
You can avoid
Poor
dickitude
Seth.
by solicit recommendations. For new players, it can be confusing and overwhelming to know what to play, or even veteran player, or even a veteran player, and want, or even as a veteran player, you may want to know what might be a good fight for the fit for the campaign. God, I'm terrible with my typing. Apparently, I blame Grammarly now though, because it changed that. There's no way I mixed up fight and fit. Or even maybe a veteran player wants to know what might be a good fit for the campaign. Don't be afraid to solicit recommendations. Don't just guess about what kinds of characters that might be rewarding to play when you ask. You can ask the one person who's most likely to know your DM.
Yeah.
Ask him. We've seen this before where players talk to the party. We mentioned it in metagame. That's probably why it popped up. Where, what are you guys running, right? That's a good way.
Yeah.
You can ask the DM. I'm sure they got plenty of ideas and about backgrounds and classes and concepts and that are perfect for the adventures that are coming. We talked about it in the metagaming episode that it's metagaming to ask the party, what are you guys all running? I'll pick something to fit. If you don't know who those party members are, you can always reach out to the DM. And honestly, I get these emails all the time for our patron games. Mm-hmm. They say, hey, what's everyone running? Do you know why they ask that? Because they want something that'll fit and doesn't encroach on somebody else's space.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
It's also kind of respectful to just be like, well, I don't want to just do the thing that you're doing because, well, now we're both doing the same thing. But both of us aren't going to be able to do it every time,
Now, you don't have to take the DM's recommendation outright. You can look for ways to put your own spin on those ideas. For example, if he or she, recommends a primal character for a wilderness-based campaign setting, so you may most be interested in the fighter class, or you're most interested in the fighter class, but maybe your fighter is raised in a barbarian tribe. So you got the mentality of a barbarian, but mechanically you're a fighter.
Yeah.
And I
That
think
makes
that's
sense to me.
a really great way to do that.
Yeah, because let's face it, not all character concepts always fit in all campaigns necessarily.
I'm going to say, not all fighters are soldiers, but all soldiers are fighters.
That's true.
Yep.
Anyways, I think this is really interesting. Sometimes it's a good just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It's pretty simple.
and it's always good to go to your DM anyway, too, because like it is very likely that they've probably sat down and thought, man, what character would I want to play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have plenty of ideas to
Or at least
go
100
around.
characters sitting around that they've never get to play.
Yep.
Yeah, here's my character concept. I'm gonna play a bard on this slapdick clown who was raised in a circus. We're playing a campaign against mind flayers.
Or you're playing a ranger with favored terrain of
Arctic, but you're gonna be in a
Arctic,
jungle.
but you're on a jungle or in a desert. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast.
Don't be a dick.
And you can avoid dickitude by soliciting recommendations.
It
Now,
helps.
Please join us on our next episode where we'll be discussing why fighters and melee characters are awesome. We will be joined by Mr. Tarask, a YouTuber and reviewer. I'm super excited. I love his content. So
Well, this is going to be an
this.
awesome episode because I fucking love fighters in melee classes.
They hit like trucks. It's great.
Yes.
You know what? And that's a perfectly good way to love him.
We hope you've enjoyed your experience here. Oh, no, that's not me. If you have any feedback on our tips and tricks or topics you'd like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Twitch at Critacademy.
We hope you enjoyed the experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a hopefully 5-star review on iTunes, or just send a message telling us how much you enjoyed the show. And also be sure to give us a like and a share.
Yeah. I got something here, but I'm looking for something, and everything's popping up here. Everything's popping up lame. All right. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to our show at critacademy.com. Follow us on twitch.tv/critacademy. Follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/c/critacademy. So we can help you on your future adventures, as well as be entered to win cool prizes. If you look right here, I added a little blurb thing down here, right down here on the screen.
blurb,
That's
it's
where you
kinda
can find us. So go follow us right now. And support us across all the platforms, so you can always get interesting, cool stuff.
For sure.
Also, make sure to check out our fellowship members while you're at our website as well. If you have not checked out the awesome resource that is Jeff Stevens, he's got amazing free content. The guy's
For sure.
shit's awesome. As we mentioned earlier, you can
He's
go
a
to
machine.
you can go to our website and pick up the Slime Cave in our wall for free. Or head on over to Game Master Stash, their Facebook group. They make amazing content every single
They
day.
also pump out content like crazy.
Yeah, they must have like a dozen writers
They have to.
for as much content as they push out. Oh, you know what I didn't say? The Slime Cave in Norwal is written by James Introcaso,
Ooh.
one of the biggest names in the D&D writing industry. So
Nice.
yeah, he also runs Tabletop Babble. Amazing.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
he did. I think when he gets to episode 200, it's somebody else taking over. But anyways,
Ah.
I think that'll do it for our show today.
Yup.
I am your host, Justin.
Now I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
Woo.